Hello, this is Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions. Thank you for your time. I created a short nonprofit tutorial for you because I get a lot of questions about how to get started with writing grant proposals. So this is just a short nonprofit tutorial under the banner of Grant Writing Basics called 3 Tasks You Must Complete Before Writing Grant Proposals. Once again, 3 tasks you must complete before writing grant proposals. Again, I'm Susan Woods. Since 2010, I've completed the Form 1023 to help people start and reinstate 501c3 nonprofit organizations across the United States. My approval rating thus far is 100%. I also teach in-person and online classes to help nonprofit professionals remain current in their knowledge of this ever-changing nonprofit sector. And one of the classes that I teach is the Grant Writing Masterclass. But before I teach that class, I like to explain the 3 tasks you must complete before even writing grant proposals. Of course, I included in that class as well, but I'm finding that a lot of people are experiencing difficulties getting their grant proposals approved because they don't understand the importance of these 3 tasks. I earned 3 nonprofit management certificates from Wake Forest University, being 1, number 2, Duke University, and number 3 from Winthrop University. I'm also a 3-time graduate of Winthrop University, earning an MBA, a Master of Arts in Teaching, and a bachelor's degree. I am very passionate about helping nonprofit professionals operate 501c3 nonprofits successfully. So offering these short nonprofit tutorials with video guided instructions is just another service I provide to meet that goal. So let's get started. What is a grant proposal, first of all? Grant funders, people with money, announce requests for proposals, or RFPs, to let the public know that free grant money is available and to let them know the process to apply for it. A grant proposal is a document that a person writes to apply for grant funding in response to the RFPs. Nonprofit professionals write grant proposals to apply for tax-free grant money from corporate funders, foundation funders, and government grant funders. So you have 3 primary sources of grant money. You can get grant money from corporations, from foundations, and from the government. The 3 tasks. There are 3 tasks nonprofit professionals must complete before writing effective grant proposals to increase the probability of receiving tax-free money. The first task, validate the community problem. Task number 2, write the program description. Task number 3, write the program budget. Let's take a look at each task. Task 1, validate the community problem. Nonprofit professionals must complete a needs analysis to validate the need for the program services they want to offer in the community. For example, you may believe there is a need for a homeless shelter in your community because you see people living unsheltered in unsafe conditions. However, you should not write a grant proposal requesting funding for a homeless shelter until you validate the need. And you may say, that makes no sense. If people are not sheltered, of course, there is a need for a homeless shelter. Not necessarily. If you were to complete a needs analysis that included communicating with people who are unsheltered, you may be surprised to learn that they prefer that lifestyle. Just because you prefer to live in a sheltered environment, that does not mean that everyone does. Also, you want to make sure that the city or the county or wherever you're living are not already providing enough resources for unsheltered people, but they just choose not to take advantage of it. So it would not be wise for you to assume that there is a need for that service and therefore write a grant proposal for it and then get money for it and then invest in creating it and no one uses it. So that's the first task. Validate the community problem. Make sure that it's real. Make sure that it does exist. Task number 2. Once you've validated that, yes, in fact, there is a need for what we want to offer, there is an absolute need for it, then you write the program description. The program description describes the solution to the problem, which includes the target demographics. Who are you targeting? When in our example, we would say we're targeting people who do not have homes. They could be men, they could be women, they could be children, they could be all of the above. You can go as far as drilling down to their race or their ethnicity, their age. There's so many factors that you can include in your demographics, but you want to paint a picture of the people who are experiencing the problem that you want to solve. The next thing you want to do, you want to describe the service area. What's the population of the area in which they are living? What's the population? How many people live there? What's the distance? How big is the service area? Is it a city or a town? How is it described? You want to paint a picture of where people live who are experiencing this problem. And then you want to explain how you're going to solve the problem with the program services. In addition to building a shelter eventually, what are you going to do in the meantime to help the people who are unsheltered? Describe the services. Some organizations write grants to get money to be able to purchase items for people who are unsheltered. Maybe they need clothing. Maybe they need food. Maybe they need water. Maybe they need transportation to different places. Maybe you want to set up a place for them to rent a shower van or something along those lines. So you want to describe exactly what you want to provide to address the problems that your target demographic is facing. Next, implementation steps. How are you going to implement the program services? That's when you talk about, okay, we're going to have a team of volunteers, or maybe you're going to write a grant proposal that's going to include money to pay people to help with this. You want to talk about how are you going to deliver these services to them. We talked about food, talked about water. Some people set up a schedule to do that. Some people do it on Saturday mornings or Saturdays from 10 to 2. They deliver. You know, you have to explain how you're going to implement what you describe in the program services. And then finally, the last step of the program description, or the last thing that should be included in the program description, is an evaluation process. How are you going to evaluate your success? How are you going to show the grant funder that this is what they can expect to receive from you to show how you're using their money? Are you going to promise that you're going to give them a weekly report of how the money is being used and how people are benefiting from the money? Are you going to provide a monthly report every 6 months, a year? Most of the time, grant funders dictate how you provide reports to them, evaluative reports to them. But you want to include in the program description how you are voluntarily going to do that. So that's task number 2, writing the program description. Next, task number 3 of the 3 things you must do before writing a grant proposal is write a program budget. You need to be able to definitively show how much money you need to offer the program. So the program budget lists the projected expenses required to implement the program description to solve the community problems. So your program budget will include the program expenses, things that directly impact the recipient, like I said, the food, the water, the clothing, the transportation, all of the things that are going to directly impact or improve their lives needs to be included in the program expenses. Then personnel expenses. Who do you need to hire? If you're planning to hire someone, or if you're planning to hire a team, describe the roles. You don't have to describe the people because you don't know who they are, but list the roles that you're gonna need. You're gonna need probably distribution specialists. You're gonna need acquisition specialists, delivery people. So describe the people that you're going to need, and then you're going to have to assign the amount of salary that you're going to pay them for the services that they provide. And most people use the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS.gov, to determine the personnel expenses. And then finally, operating expenses. Are you going to have to rent a van to travel around, or a truck or some vehicle to travel around to deliver things to people who are unsheltered? Are you going to have to maybe facilitate meetings with people in the community to explain what you want to do to help the community, which may cause you to have to rent space or a conference room, anything that you would need to operate this program should be listed under operating expenses. And in our case, we talked about a long-term plan of creating an actual shelter. You may want to include that in your program budget as long-term expenses. You know, maybe you're looking at a property that you would like to buy, or maybe a property that you would like to rent. If you have some information about that already, you can go ahead and include that under a section called long-term expenses. So this is task number 3, how to write the program budget. In summary, writing grant proposals is a very popular way to generate revenues for your 501c3 nonprofit organization. There are billions of tax-free dollars available for nonprofit organizations to provide community services. However, the process to locating requests for proposals and writing grant proposals can be time-consuming. Therefore, you should diversify your revenue generation strategies and allocate time to the grant writing process, and not let it be your only source of generating revenues. Because if you spend all of your time writing grant proposals and submitting grant proposals and you don't get funding, because sometimes you're not going to get funding, no matter how well written your grant proposal is, you're going to receive some rejections. That's just the way that it works. So you don't want to spend a whole lot of time writing grant proposals and then you don't have any other way of generating revenue. So diversify your revenue generation strategies and only include grant writing as one part of that strategy. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn the 3 tasks you must complete before writing grant proposals in this tutorial. Tutorials are only one resource that I provide through Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions, LLC. I also offer do-it-yourself guides, online courses, 501c3 startup services, 501c3 reinstatement services, and membership services. Thank you again for your time. I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions. Have a great day.